Malaysia's king is calling on lawmakers to stop the political squabbling and give their full support to the upcoming budget.
In a statement issued this afternoon, the palace urged members of parliament to put the country first and make sure the budget for next year is passed when it's unveiled next Friday, November the 6th.
The king said that Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin retains his full confidence at a time when the country is battling the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Muhyiddin's future was initially cast into doubt over the weekend after the king rejected his request to declare a state of emergency.
We're pleased to have regional correspondent Leslie Lopez with us. He's been working the ground in Malaysia. So Leslie, run through what happened between the king's rejection of Mr. Muhyiddin's plan on Sunday through the last few days when a series of marathon meetings was reported. What happened behind the scenes?
Well, yeah, it's been pretty intense and fast-paced too. Sunday's rejection was tantamount to a rebuke by the palace on the Prime Minister. And that really, was a major setback and led him to even consider resigning that night. But from what we understand, he was persuaded by his close allies that he should remain, stay and see how matters unfold. What happened the next day was it was clear that there were strains within his Perikatan National Alliance. UMNO leaders, a major component of that alliance, basically refused to snub an invitation for a meeting with the Prime Minister with other coalition parties. Instead, they had their own meetings. In one of those meetings, which was the meeting of the National Front Coalition, it became clear that, which is quite a bombshell, when Najib Abdul Razak, who was an advisor to the coalition, announced that he would consider working with Anwar. That really, raised a lot of questions. People started looking at different permutations on how a new government could be formed. But all of that changed when UMNO Supreme Council met later in the night and in the wee hours of Tuesday declared that they were going to stick with Muhyiddin. But that pledge of support has come with a lot of conditions, which we understand include cabinet positions, senior positions too, including the deputy premiership. Question is, whether Muhyiddin will be able to meet these demands, and even if he does so this time around, how long can this situation last? Because UMNO will continue to make demands on him because of his very, very weak position now.
Right. Leslie, that's it. How would you describe then the current relationship between Mr. Muhyiddin and UMNO?
Well, I think it's testy to say the least. It's going to be, I think it's going to be very transactional. That's what's going to happen. We need to see how they meet the demands before next week's presentation of the budget, which is going to be crucial. There will be a vote on the budget, and it will be construed as a confidence vote on Muhyiddin. If he fails to pass the budget, then even this pledge of support clearly is not going to be enough for him to stay in power. So clearly, the relationship is transactional, testy, and I think what we've seen is there's quite a number of factions in UMNO. All of them have different views, different positions on how they think the relationship with Muhyiddin's Bersatu should take. So all of this are going to be, conditions are going to be also going to have huge impact on the relations in the coming days.
Right. So let's focus a bit on Anwar Ibrahim. No go in his prime ministerial bid this time. But as you mentioned, it's been reported that he's willing to team up with ex-Prime Minister Najib Razak. So what does this situation leave Mr. Anwar now, Leslie?
I think, it leaves Anwar in the same place he was in before he made the declaration that he had, he had built up a formidable majority to form the next government. He remains opposition leader. And I think this whole episode has shown that, Mr. Anwar's partners, particularly DAP and Amanah, need to work some kind of a new construct if they want to, build new alliances and get a majority. It is very evident that there is a problem with working with the DAP among parties like UMNO, PAS, and including the Sarawak Party, which is a key component to any government if it wants to come to power. So I think Anwar's immediate task now would be to try and make DAP more palatable, to the other political parties, if he still remains interested in pursuing this, his bid for the premiership.
Right. Thank you so much, Leslie, for setting aside time to speak with us. We've been speaking to the Straits Times regional correspondent, Leslie Lopez.